How did we get here? Toys, pieces of plastic, albeit amazing plastic, selling for thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars. Sure, these are vintage. Much like myself, they're flirting with being about 50 years old. But does that make them worth all this money? Well, I guess if someone is willing to pay for it, I guess it does. But back to my main question. How did we get here? It all started back in 1978, when the first 4 were released in the early bird special package. From Star Wars, to The Empire Strikes Back, to The Return of the Jedi, to Power of the Force, droids, and Ewoks. All of these were a kid's dream. Fueling imagination, recreation of the movies we loved, and making up our own stories of Luke, Han, and Leia. But by the late 80s, dreams started to fade, and many moved on to other toy lines. The 3 3/4 warriors spent time in attics, closets, and at the end of driveways for yard sales. The leftover, unsold product hit the discount bins. Gamorrean guards, General Madines, and Admiral Akbars trapped in package, now just going for 50 cents a piece.
The action figures including new Hammerhead, Snaggletooth, and more.
Time drifted away from Star Wars.
Sold separately from Kenner.
Yet, by the mid-90s, some fans, now in their early 20s, and maybe sparked by the Timothy Zahn novels, began to search out what they had lost a decade earlier. Shabby comic book shops sold loose figures for $1 or $2, carded figures for a few dollars more. But then, the internet hit, and eBay came not long after. Suddenly, these well-crafted icons of the 80s, once banged around and well played with by kids, had become collectibles. Nostalgia took over, memories of hours on a carpet floor came flooding back, and people were willing to pay for that trip back in time. Over the next decade, prices increased. Websites like Rebel Scum and Star Wars Collector Archive popped up, bringing collectors together. And then, the next big shift. The toy hunter.
Some of the most collectible items from the Star Wars trilogy are the action figures, and Jeff is sitting on a boatload of them.
I love that show. My son loves that show, and I really like Jordan and what he created. In fact, I wish that show would come back, or he had made more seasons. It was just a lot of fun. However, it cannot be denied that the show sparked more interest in vintage toys. It legitimized adult collectors as something more than just nerds, and led to more people thinking, hey, what could my old toys be worth? And the answer was, a lot. The price of nostalgia was heavy, or so it seemed. More and more online sale sites popped up. eBay ballooned, and the next shift, YouTube caught fire.
Hi, I'm Dan Larson, and this is 1977's Star Wars Early Bird Kit in 4 minutes or less.
But my brain, in an effort to survive an inexplicable situation, just never questioned the yellow color of the toy's accessory. Even now, if I put a blue lightsaber on a vintage Luke Skywalker figure, it just looks incorrect.
Okay, so there's some serious gems in this little case right here. The thing that drew me over here first, I don't think I've ever seen one of these carded in person.
Creators took over and had a lot to say about our old toys. Toy Galaxy, Retro Blasting, and Pixel Dan came on the scene. These guys are popular, and that popularity is well deserved. They turned YouTube from garbage backyard videos to well-produced, thought-provoking entertainment. And not long after that, the toys that made us hit.
Are the toys that made us.
A continuing series about the toys that we all know. Plastic creations that last for generations and we still cannot let go.
The comedic Netflix series took a deep dive into the history of several action figure lines, including Star Wars. All of these generated even more interest in the toys and collecting. And then the final shift, just a few years ago, the pandemic. Everyone was trapped inside, and whether it was comfort, boredom, or something else in between, collecting exploded. Within that time, prices skyrocketed. An apparent obsession with grading took over. Collecting now feels more like capitalism than an enjoyable hobby. Believe me, I buy and sell a lot of stuff. I like to get top dollar and market value like anyone else. And I feel torn between honoring my past and feeding my wallet. I am not knocking anyone for doing any of that. If you own it, you should be free to do what you like with it. And if you want to spend thousands on a collectible, so be it. Though I think what makes me a little sad is that I still see these as toys. Very expensive toys at times, but toys just the same. And maybe that's just not the case with everyone. I point to one specific instance recently. I asked a Star Wars group if I could buy a beater Boba Fett for my son to both collect and play with. A beater. Not a mint on card, 21 back, or even a pristine AFA loose example. No one was interested in doing that. Only telling me I should just buy a retro Boba Fett for him. Yet that's not what he wanted. He wanted what the toy hunter had. He wanted what I had as a kid. He wanted a vintage Boba Fett action figure. A toy. Would the group's answers have been the same if I, an adult, wanted the figure to just have it sit on my shelf? I doubt it. Though there was a happy ending. One of the members, apparently feeling the same way I did, and wanting to pass along the love of Kenner figures to the next generation, gave us, not sold, a vintage Boba Fett, complete with weapon. And a darn nice one too. It's now my son's prized possession. That guy told me to pay it forward, and I intend to. But what will the future bring for this hobby? Will prices continue to blast off into orbit? Or will they drop as older collectors sell or pass on to a galaxy far, far away? And how do collectors feel about this market? Is having a collection based on monetary value, or what it means to you and what you remember? Let me know in the comments. Please like and subscribe. I'll talk to you soon. These prices are from a 1997 Toy Fair. Darth Vader for $160. Oh, mint on card. Luke Skywalker telescoping early bird special, $125. I mean, look at these Return of the Jedi prices. They're giving them away. They're giving them away.